going to get to Caitlin Clark fans and the nuclear backlash that A'ja Wilson is getting right now over the reveal of her Nike signature.
A'ja Wilson faced a significant career turning point this week, prompting reflection on her approach. Following a period of vocal criticism towards Caitlin Clark, whom she perceived as a lesser rival, Team USA issued a decisive statement regarding roster choices. Wilson was notably excluded from the national selection, while Clark was officially designated a starting position within the senior national pool for the upcoming 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics. This analysis will detail the underlying factors behind Wilson's strong reaction and reveal a critical tactical weakness in her play previously unaddressed by the WNBA. Share your perspective on Wilson's exclusion from Team USA in the comment.
If you're taken aback by that, if you're like, wait a minute, that didn't compute. What about all of the A'ja Wilson Nike outrage last year that subjected not only Caitlin Clark but her fans to all kinds of rape?
Envisioning oneself as a WNBA elite, a figurehead for the sport, only to lose access to a premier national team role, encapsulates A'ja Wilson's recent experience. Her rare assumption that her identity was intrinsically linked to women's basketball faced a stark public recalibration, underscoring that standing alone does not guarantee selection. Team USA's choice to omit her and integrate Caitlin Clark into the candidate pool transcended mere statistical comparisons. It represented a rigorous assessment of player profiles best suited for demanding international competition. This outcome illustrates the consequences of prioritizing superficial appeal over fundamental ability and individual temperament over cohesive team qualities.
Costs her team.
Great pass by Chelsea Gray into A'ja Wilson. Foul gets called. There was
a key observation regarding WNBA dynamics, often overlooked by established figures, points to a characteristic element in Wilson's playing style: her frequent reliance on foul calls rather than raw athleticism. Her average of nearly 12 free throw attempts per game indicates proficiency in influencing officiating through contact, not just overwhelming offense. Each drive often incorporates expressive movements, and defensive engagements frequently lead to forceful appeals. WNBA officiating has historically accommodated offensive approaches like Wilson's, enabling her to develop an offense aided by specific rule interpretations. While effective within the WNBA, this method presents a considerable disadvantage in international play.
A'ja, it looked like they really were intentional about going to Aaliyah in the second half. What was, I guess, difficult about containing her? I know you guys kind of touched on a few things, maybe with the foul calls, but what made it successful for them to keep going to her tonight?
I don't know. You're going to have to ask Aaliyah that question. I honestly, you just do your work. You got to do your work early and make it different. But Aaliyah did say I have a special whistle, and she shot 13 today.
She said that to you?
Yeah. Yeah, she said the last game I had a special whistle, which is cool. So we just got to play their better defense, make her look a little difficult, and kind of go from there.
All right, thank you all.
Team USA coaches and scouts analyzed Wilson's international performances, not her WNBA highlight compilations, revealing notable discrepancies. FIBA officiating standards diverge significantly from WNBA practices. The physical contact that might result in numerous free throws in a domestic game is often considered routine in global contests. The dynamic, continuous nature of international basketball rigorously tests players whose offensive production relies heavily on drawing fouls rather than creating scoring opportunities independently.
Wilson. Lots of folks are talking about A'ja Wilson. You know, the player on the team where people are abandoning like rats off a sinking ship. You know, A'ja Wilson, who has won 2 championships in the WNBA. A'ja Wilson, who was crowned MVP before the 2024 season started. A'ja Wilson, you know, she's a really good basketball player. But back to culture. I wouldn't want A'ja Wilson on my team, or maybe I should turn it around. Since she's A'ja Wilson, I wouldn't want to be on A'ja Wilson's
The discussion naturally shifts to Caitlin Clark, whose playing style operates on fundamentally distinct principles. She consistently executes deep-range shots from upwards of 30 feet, scoring opportunities independent of officiating. When challenged defensively, Clark typically completes her shot, often without seeking a foul call. Her distinctive step-back three-pointers and long-range efforts exemplify a self-sufficient offense. She outmaneuvers defenders through astute shot selection, high basketball IQ, and precise footwork, a versatile skill set that seamlessly adapts to any global court, irrespective of refereeing interpretations. Team USA analysts observed a marked decline in Wilson's scoring efficiency during international competitions when robust physical defense was permitted. Her output noticeably decreased as the marginal calls she often relied upon vanished. Conversely, Clark's performance remained consistent. This stability stems from her game design, creating space with an elevated release point and exceptional shooting range, rather than initiating contact for foul calls. The difference is stark. Wilson often seeks contact, then awaits a whistle, anticipating free throws. Clark anticipates contact and adjusts her shot to score through it. Wilson's approach thrives within the tightly regulated, offense-favored WNBA. Clark's method is universally effective, grounded in essential, undeniable skill rather than exploiting specific rule set. International basketball demands adaptability. FIBA games are typically less interrupted, more physical, with officials generally allowing play through contact. Wilson's foul-drawing strategies become liabilities as her offensive rhythm depends on frequent stoppages and favorable calls that do not materialize. Team USA coaches require players capable of adjusting to diverse officiating styles across different countries. Wilson's reliance on particular WNBA officiating paradigms renders her an unnecessary risk for Olympic play. Clark's self-reliant, resilient scoring ability makes her an invaluable asset in any basketball context. The selection was unequivocally straightforward. One player necessitated specific advantageous conditions for success. The other generates success through intrinsic basketball prowess. How did the former league icon react to her exclusion from the national team? Her response was reportedly intense. Wilson likely expected another month of accolades, instead receiving news that challenged her self-perception of untouchability. Team USA announced its preliminary selection pool for upcoming evaluation camps, and Wilson's name was conspicuously absent. Insiders from the Aces organization described her reaction as a profound emotional upheaval, spanning several days. The player who for 2 years believed herself indispensable found she had been superseded by the very individual she had continuously sought to diminish. Conversely, Clark received her invitation to the senior national team pool, while Wilson was fully omitted. A notable irony emerged. Recalling Wilson's consistent online questioning of Clark's prominence, Wilson reportedly initiated urgent calls to Team USA, seeking clarification for her exclusion, contacting multiple USA basketball personnel to understand the decision. Her representatives made attempts to arrange last-minute meetings with coaching staff who were already focused on evaluating selected players. Meanwhile, Clark was deluged with congratulatory messages from peers, coaches, and admirers celebrating her national team prospect. Her reaction was characterized by unassuming grace and humility, expressing appreciation and eagerness to learn from experienced players. The divergence in their responses offers an unvarnished portrayal of their fundamental character difference. Clark posted a concise message of thanks, devoid of critical remarks or demands. Wilson's camp, however, reportedly disseminated improbable narratives concerning scheduling conflicts or prior engagements as reasons for her non-participation. These attempts to preserve public image were widely unconvincing. The implications of Wilson's 2-year public criticism of Clark became evident. Team USA coaches had observed her conduct throughout this period. Every subtle remark, every veiled social media post, and every interview comment directed at Clark was noted by officials prioritizing team cohesion and professional demeanor. Wilson's repeated critiques of a prominent league figure demonstrated a disruptive attitude detrimental to locker room harmony and national team unity. Clark's measured response to Wilson's persistent minor provocations only reinforced her candidacy for inclusion. She consistently avoided personal attacks, concentrating on her performance and allowing her play to speak for itself, while Wilson channeled her energy into negativity. The message from Team USA is unequivocal: unprofessional conduct carries tangible consequences. They opted for stability over discord, professionalism over triviality, and unifying presences over divisive ones. Wilson's strong emotional reaction to her exclusion, in fact, validated the coach's decision. A player unable to manage non-selection for a roster is likely ill-equipped for the intense global pressure of representing her nation on the world stage. Her emotional display confirmed a lack of the mental fortitude essential for international competition. Clark secured her position through pure talent and consistent character, while Wilson lost hers due to questionable judgment and intense envy. A player unable to cope with fan scrutiny could not credibly embody American basketball with the requisite poise. Wilson felt secure in her position when she began her sustained criticism of Clark. She possessed MVP awards, championships, and the media-bestowed title of women's basketball's figurehead. Every subtly critical social media post seemed justifiable to someone convinced she commanded the spotlight. Wilson and her associates believed they were safeguarding the WNBA's integrity from the immense media attention Clark garnered. Wilson endorsed posts questioning Clark's legitimacy and shared content highlighting veteran achievements over Clark's record-breaking moment. USA Basketball officials observed these interactions with objective scrutiny. They noted Wilson's skeptical rather than celebratory reaction to Clark's success. When Clark received Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, Wilson's social media activity reflected skepticism and resentment, not support for women's basketball's mainstream recognition. They meticulously tracked who was fostering the sport's growth versus actively undermining a competitor. Wilson's interviews grew increasingly pointed as Clark's popularity surged. She used phrases like real impact and sustained excellence in ways clearly intended to diminish Clark's accomplishments. She questioned Clark's actual influence on the sport, a peculiar stance given Clark's ability to sell out arenas and attract millions of new fans to women's basketball single-handedly. Wilson's social media activity provides definitive evidence. She shared veteran scoring statistics in a direct, petty response to coverage of Clark. She struggled to accept that a more marketable, talented, and universally appealing figure was reshaping the women's basketball discourse. She transformed Clark's every achievement into a personal affront, making Clark's success about herself rather than celebrating its broader implications for the sport. Team USA coaches monitored this behavior for 2 years before finalizing their roster. They identified which player would represent the nation with dignity and which would instigate unnecessary self-centered issues. Wilson effectively penned her own departure from the national program with each envious passive-aggressive comment. She believed she was safeguarding her standing, but she actively eroded her position with national team leadership. A player unable to champion another woman's achievements could not embody the national team's required professionalism. Wilson inadvertently authored the narrative that led to her exclusion from Team USA. Her 2-year campaign against Clark backfired profoundly. She irreparably damaged her own credibility while, by contrast, elevating Clark's image. Clark received her desired Team USA invitation as Wilson was still making frustrated calls. Clark immediately began preparing for the evaluation camp with the same disciplined work ethic that defined her college career. She understood this opportunity extended beyond merely making a roster. It represented stepping into a role Wilson had assumed was permanently hers. The rapport between Clark and Aaliyah Boston, forged through their college rivalry and mutual respect, offers Team USA a foundational strength that Wilson's focus on individual success could not have provided. Wilson's demeanor would have dictated that everything center on her personal achievement. Team USA coaches now perceive Clark as the ideal representative for American basketball globally. Her professionalism and Wilson's criticisms demonstrated her capacity to manage pressure without generating drama, contrasting sharply with Wilson's exhibited trait. The forthcoming evaluation camp will mark Clark's effective ascendancy as the global emblem of women's basketball. Wilson's conspicuous omission sends an unequivocal message to every WNBA player about Team USA's value. While statistical accomplishments are important, character, conduct, and global appeal carry equivalent weight when representing one's country. Players who contribute to the sport's growth are recognized. Those who undermine competitors are overlooked. Wilson prioritized personal rivalry over leadership, incurring a significant cost. Clark's appeal transcends American boundaries in ways Wilson's brand could not. International audiences connected with Clark's long-range shooting and competitive spirit during her collegiate career. She brings dynamism and selfless athleticism that resonates across diverse cultures. Wilson's more insular brand approach targeted established basketball enthusiasts, neglecting the vital task of cultivating a new global audience. The 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics will now feature Clark's leadership on basketball's grandest stages. Team USA coaches intend to build their strategies around her distinctive abilities and exceptional basketball IQ. Wilson's past behavior would have introduced only unnecessary distractions during training and competition. Clark's focus remains squarely on team success, not individual recognition. The 2026 World Cup is poised to become essential viewing, with Clark leading a new generation that values collaboration over harmful rivalry. The selection pool roster articulates the full narrative implicitly. Wilson's intense reaction affirmed the coach's existing concerns about her character and suitability for national representation. Her inability to handle the repercussions of her own actions provided the final corroboration Team USA needed to move forward. Clark, the poised professional, prepares for camp, while Wilson, the disgruntled former star, observes from the sidelines. The era defined by reliance on favorable calls is ending. The era of genuine, unstoppable skill has officially commenced. Share your thoughts on Wilson's removal from Team USA below. Ensure you like, subscribe, and enable notifications for all our content. Click the displayed video to join us in the next one.